soft corals. Not every day you see a soft coral type of tank. I've got some anemones here. I've got, looks like some kind of Nephthia, some gorgonians. See, you don't have to be an SPS reefer stickhead to have a nice looking tank. This is unique. I like this. Something else to look at. And he's got a trigger, maybe a crosshatch. That's cool. Love my trigger, gonna miss him. Love to see him in the tank. Flame Angel, okay, taking a risk there, but it seems to be working out here. Ooh, this is neato. This is the new Real Reef Montipora cups. And when I listened to the video, the guy said that he was gonna put some Sophastria on there so this would grow out, make it look like a Sophastria flower. I'd be interested to see if that grows in, what that looks like. Definitely a good call. I like the placement too. It's a very natural placement in here in this arch. On one hand, those Real Reef cups look a little unnatural just by themselves, but you put them in a nice setting like this, it eases right in there. It looks cool. I dig it. Then you got a nice fox face. More, oh, GSP, and it's touching other rocks. This stuff is gonna run. He's got some zoas up top that's gonna help it, but this rock down here to the left, hopefully this guy takes this out and handles that, at least gets it under control, because it's definitely touching stuff. It's definitely on the move. Each their own. I understand the love about GSP, but I hate to have this nice softy tank taken over by GSP. All right, leave it be. I'll go on. Breathe. I'll see you another day. Is that it's turning. This is a sea swirl. Okay, he took the orange filter off. It's a sea swirl that comes down and then the outlets go straight across. And then it turns like this. That's unique. Haven't seen a sea swirl set up like that. Hey, this is one thing about the hobby that's cool. You can look at other people's tanks, you can get ideas. While I might not have seen it before, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. It's a neat way to use a sea swirl. Since this tank is 4 sides viewable, you don't want any power heads on the outside perimeter of the tank. You gotta mix up the flow, and that's one way to get it done. You got a nice arch in the middle of the tank here too, coming from the bottom straight up to the top. Actually, here's some insider information. That tube actually hides electrical running from the lights and all up top down to the tank down underneath, so you don't have any cords on the exterior part of the tank. Look at this leather. Here's something you don't see a lot of every day, is a nice big leather coral. In fact, there may even be 2 of them. This thing is big, huge leather, nice presentation right there about mid-tank. I dig it. This is one of the nicest soft coral tanks I've seen in a while. It's good to see a change of things. What is that? It's like 2 Neptune WAV pumps off the, okay, I gotta get my head around this. They're mounted, but it looks like they're mounted to the pane, but they're not mounted to the pane, and they're going in opposite directions. 4 size viewable tank, you gotta come up with some interesting ideas. Certainly haven't seen this kind of presentation of a Neptune WAV pump before. I dig it, you know, it works for them. I'm still like getting my head around how that works and how it's really mounted and holds still. It looks like he's got like a shelf thing running top down to the tank where he can mount stuff to. It's not vibrating too. That's impressive. I would expect to have some vibration with that moving around. Those WAV pumps are powerful pumps. It's getting the job done. Nice work. That's interesting. That's unique. And we've got some nice Zoa garden, looks like, coming around the corner here. I dig it. Oh, bubbles. I love bubble corals. They don't ship very well though. This one even looks like a fusion kind of bubble. We got green on one side and then another type of bubble on the right. Wonder if these are 2 put together or if this was some kind of fusion. I just love bubbles. I have a hard time getting them because they don't ship well. They're tore up. They usually don't make it, but I love seeing bubble corals. Clove polyps. Now we have GSP and we have clove polyps. Hey, if it's a softy tank, I get it. Would I put that in an SPS tank? No, those clove polyps and the GSP take over, but hey, each their own. That may be what he likes. And a clam sitting on top of another Real Reef cup. Interesting. This is a nice way to make a nice presentation of a clam, get it up off the sand bed, but you don't have to have a lot of rock underneath it. You build a shelf and you put the clam on top of it. Interesting. It certainly works in this presentation. Something that I haven't seen yet. It's cool. I really like how he did a good job of integrating the Real Reef cup into this center column type piece that he has. It looks very natural. I dig it. Oh, here we go. Now we're coming around the corner to this Zoa garden. We got some Bam Bams in there. You got some Gorgonians. He even built a nice like kind of finger, I don't even want to say an arch because it's straight up, and then it's got branches off of it, almost like a Zoa tree. I dig that. That's a nice way to put things like vertically. A lot of times I know when I'm looking at aquascaping, I tend to get trapped in this plane. Why not put things in that plane? Let me back up and take another look at that. I'm getting ideas here for my own new system. I dig it, and it's with zoas too. So a lot of people would put SPS on that, but this guy put zoas, which fits perfectly for a soft coral tank. Nice big gorgonia in there as well. That's probably a foot tall, lots of motion with that. It's cool. Gorgs are something that don't get enough respect and don't get enough interest in the hobby. I dig it. I'm really enjoying looking at a soft coral tank for once because a lot of us get stuck on SPS. Nothing wrong with that, but hey, this is different. It's cool to see. And then back to the other side of the center column where you can, looks like probably conceal things, maybe an overflow as well. More anemones here, lots of motion in this tank. This is cool to see as well. With the soft corals, now we've got some Anthias mixed in. This looks like a pair of Bartletts that are going after it. That looks like an inlet, which I'm guessing is an inlet for a closed loop. Now my concern with this, looking at it first just offhand here, is how do you get that bulkhead strainer off to clean that thing? Maybe he doesn't clean it at all. Maybe he just cleans it in place. It looks like it's epoxied in, welded in at some point. I would want to take it off and clean it. Maybe he doesn't have to do it. When I look at it, that's the first thought that comes to my head. Like that rose bubble tip going out of frame there as well. Here's our Coral Beauty. Flame Angel doing well. Looking, he's cruising around the reef as well. It's fun to see the little small angels. The Dwarfs or something that fish on the fringe was working for this guy. Every tank is different. Now look at this arch thing. This is something, just give me a little inside information. When he sent me this video, he was telling me that this is actually a way that he hides more of the electrical and the closed loop in this little arch thing. So I like too that he didn't just go straight up with it, like what you would expect with a pipe. It's 90 degrees straight up. This has a curve not only this way, but it comes back, which makes for a neat presentation. It's a nice way to aquascape things, give you some different type of aquascape options. More GSP, there's not just one GSP colony, there's two in this tank. Soft coral tank, it fits. I would personally take it out because I want to give more rooms to Recordias like he's got here, zoas, clams, things like that. But hey, to each their own. It's not my tank. He can do what he wants. Oh, look at this Gorg. These Gorgonians here, I love them. They look like fans, but they're much easier to care for than fans. You don't have to feed them. They're photosynthetic. Great stuff. And I bet that this little hole down here, there's a jawfish, which is a fantastic place to have a fun little jawfish, maybe a pearly jaw. In my experience, those do better than the blue spots. Fun little place for that guy to hang out. And you get to see him. 4-sides viewable tank, so we can't build a home somewhere where you're not going to see him. I dig it. Fun presentation with a 4-sides viewable tank. Nice way to hide things with aquascaping, provide some different aquascaping. We're back now to the trees here. Now it looks like we're going up top. Going to look at some hardware above the tank, what it takes to light this reef. Seeing some T5s here in some Kessels. This is something different. AP700s over the tank. Looks like he's got a cooling fan up there pointing down, evaporative cooling for the tank. Nothing wrong with the Kessels. They certainly get the job done. This is a neat, different type of tank as well, because a lot of times we see AIs and Radions, which is what I usually go with, but this guy is getting it done with Kessels and some T5s on there as well. Lots of ways to skin the cat in the saltwater tank world. This is another way to get it done. And he's got a sea swirl right next to a Bena Reef feeder. I hear good things about Bena Reef. I personally don't feed corals, but hey, each their own. It's working for this guy in a soft coral tank. I may consider it, because you want higher nutrients in that anyway. So I may consider that route with my mixed reef like this one here. Personally doesn't work for me, but again, each their own. Lots of, another sea swirl here. I like those for mixing up the flow. And we've got another auto feeder here for flake food. So this guy's definitely getting his variety in with Bena Reef and with flake food. I'm betting that he can be away from this tank for a while and everything thrives. Everything's okay. He doesn't have to do a lot of work on this thing, and he can step away and still have everything do really well. Lots going on above the tank, but he's using it the most of the space here for getting random flow without having power heads on the outside of the tank, because you don't want that on a 4-sides viewable system. He's got a net mesh top as well to help keep the fish in. Be surprised how many things can bounce out of there. He's got a fair amount of flat surfaces on top here with the piping and sea swirls. If a fish is going to jump, it's going to land on that little bit of section that's horizontal, and then for some reason they never tend to flop back in the tank. They just get crispy up top, and that's the end of your nice fish. More lighting here. Looks like 2 AP700s, maybe 3 over this tank. Getting the job done. Softies love it. Okay, so I would do a little bit with wire management here. If I had to say anything, that gets me a little concerned about all these wires. We've got wire nuts exposed to the open air. I would personally put butt connectors on those, wrap them in shrink wrap. Maybe one of those projects that you're always getting to. This guy hasn't gotten to it just yet. Looks like you got an exhaust fan, which is nice to help keep the moisture on. It's gonna be warm in here, it's gonna be moist. You got lights, you got heat, you're above a fish tank. What do you expect? So he thought that out as well. Lots going on, but he still has access, keeping the tank cool with the fans. Nice way to use them off the dead space, that center section of the AP700. Hang the fan there. I'm using every inch that he can underneath here, but he still has room to work, so I'm digging it.